Hello, I'm Andy Black, and you are watching Rock Sound. I've asked them to bring in this particular model of sunken brown couch because I will not do an interview on anything that is not sunken in and brown leather.
Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound. We're backstage in Camden today. Sold out show this evening for the man next to me is, of course, Mr. Andy Black. How are you, sir?
Has it sold out?
I was just told it is sold out,
Excellent.
so there we
were
are.
4 tickets remaining as
Oh,
of
good.
yesterday, so I was curious. If it just came down to those 4 tickets, I was going to say it was sold out regardless.
Right. Yeah.
Because I would just buy I would just buy those 4 tickets.
For the sake of 4 tickets.
Yeah, and then I just wouldn't tell anybody. But now I can say my dastardly plan out loud.
Yeah,
because
you
I
can
didn't
say
have to do
confidently
that
it has happened. There is no need to buy your own tickets. It's all good. Nice to see you, man. Welcome back to the UK for a start. Lovely to have you over here. And I want to start with what you've just been up to over in the US very, very recently. Warp 25 you've just got to play.
Yes.
Huge, huge event. How was that? How did it all feel? Very nostalgic, I would imagine?
Yeah, it's crazy. We did something like 8 shows last summer on as Black Veil Brides. I was able to do 8 shows. I think it was around there on the 2018 run, which was the last cross country run.
Yeah.
And so the last day of that for us was Denver, and I remember feeling it was a difficult feeling. For me, I've talked about it a lot. Warped Tour has meant so much to me. I mean, the impact that it's had on my life is immeasurable. Whether it's when I first started going as like a 12-year-old and experiencing this whole thing where growing up where I didn't know anybody else that was like me or like the music that I liked or dressed like me or whatever. Yeah. And then Warped Tour comes to town, and I went and I found this whole world of people that shared interests with me. And it was really like kind of this extroverting cool thing to think, oh, wow, like this little world that I have in my room in my house is something that's shared with all these other people. So it just meant everything to me. And so I would look forward to it every year to the degree that it was like a countdown in my head until it came back. And then, really, as I kind of started to formulate what I would imagine my career would be or what my dreams were, I know a lot of people who are in bands who their biggest dream or aspiration was to, something more lofty. Like I've had the opportunity to play Download and Donington and that's incredible. But when I was a kid, I just wanted to be in the truck behind main stage.
Yeah, of course, because you've seen it. You're part of that community.
Riding my bike behind with the buses where you saw all the other bands. That was like, to me, that was... If I could just do that, that would be just the biggest dream come true. Yeah. So when I got in a position to be able to do that in 2011 was the first time we did it. It was it changed my whole life. And then that same summer, I met Juliet, who ultimately my wife and my best friend, and I spent my life with. And then I continued to get to go on the tour for many years after that, and met all these people. And the band's popularity in the States grew exponentially, I believe, because of the tour and being kind of heavily associated with that. And I've become close with Kevin Lyman and just all these people that are in my life because of the tour. So to say that the impact that it's had is even quantifiable would be inaccurate. I mean, I think the truth is that there is almost nothing that has existed in my life as an alternative artist that has done as much for me, whether it's with the audience or whatever else. So getting to play those shows, whether it was the last run last year or this one in Atlantic City, was just unbelievable. Just a tremendous feeling of, I was talking to, and I'm going on a tangent, but I was talking to my stage manager, and he was saying that it was a huge day for him as well, because like me, he had grown up going to Warped Tour and loved it, but also he had the experience of being an assistant on Warped Tour. He worked as a production assistant, and then he was assistant stage manager, and then he was a stage manager. And to be with one of the bigger artists there, and to be the stage manager, and to be out at Warped Tour in that context was a big deal for him. And I was just thinking that so many of us have those feelings. And so going out on that stage, and all my friends are around that I know from the tour, and my wife's there and her whole band and everything. It was just so much fun. We really enjoyed it. Being on the beach was beautiful.
Yeah, and good location this year.
I'm not really ready for the Mountain View date for it to really be over.
Yeah.
I think in the back of my mind, last year, even when I was saying goodbye to the tour, I knew, well, they'll probably do something.
Yeah, sure. There'll be another chance.
It had been It had been something that was said in the barbecue circles at Warped Tour for many years. I think he might end it at the 25th year, and that was always the kind of thing of like, you talk about it and go, I wonder if this will go on forever. Like, this is the best thing. And there was always kind of the whispers that would go around at the barbecues late at night. I bet he goes to 25 years.
Yeah.
So Kevin's gonna send it out with a bang in the 25th year, and I'm just lucky that I got asked to be a part of it.
Well, absolutely, and it's so true what you say there. Like fostering that community has been an amazing thing, and not just with people on stage. I hadn't quite, shamefully, perhaps I hadn't quite thought of that. Of course, that everyone who's come up, whether it's TMs, whether it's sound engineers, whatever, like everyone has had this annual tradition that they're able to go out.
The community itself is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
You see these people that we all tour and we spend time in different venues, and you don't necessarily get to know the production staff of every venue that you go to. But when it came to Warped Tour, these individuals that you saw every year, whether it was Kevin himself or Kate or any of the people that are in production, Lisa Brownlee and then stage managers like Kenny and Junior and Gary and these people that, for me, I mean, Chuck is a friend of mine. Chuck, people who know Warped Tour know Chuck. He runs all the merchandise. Like, we met because we didn't get along at first,
right?
And we were seeing each other every day, And so eventually hashed it out, and then we became the best of friends. And I've known him forever, and we talk and see each other when we can. And it's just like there's so many individuals that I wouldn't have otherwise had the opportunity to know if it wasn't for that tour. And for someone who's not particularly social, to have like a large friend group of people around the world that have worked in the context of this tour is kind of a neat feeling. There's nothing more sad to me than the last day of Warped Tour. It's always the worst. No matter how tired you are. I'm one of the like weirdos who we could have 10 days in a row without a day off and it's boiling hot and I'm just like, yeah, because I really love it.
Bring it on.
I've never taken it for granted. It has always been pinch myself. This is the thing I dreamt of doing, and I get to do it.
Amazing. No, it's such an amazing thing, and what a wonderful way to kind of say goodbye to it this last weekend. Let's talk about stuff that's going on with you as well. I mean, the album we've kind of chatted a bit about already, just as it had come out there, or was about to come out, I should say. Now that it's a little bit in the rear view, obviously still very much in touring campaign. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the reception? How are you feeling about the live reaction to these songs?
It's really interesting because I'm someone that, when a record's out, I tend to start thinking about what the next thing is.
Right.
I move very quickly in my projects, and I'm already so mentally. I'm so like you put so much into something like this, and to build concept record and the comic book and everything else. We're doing a Comic-Con coming up. And just all this stuff that kind of surrounds the character. I'm so entrenched in the character that it's probably the first time in my career, and this is not to take away from other records, but that I've almost had to stay in this world because there's so many other unfinished things. Normally you put a record out, you tour it, and then you're kind of like on the next thing. But when it comes to the comic book and the character itself, and we're developing other projects with the character right now, so like there's a lot of like I don't know, for me my mind is very much in the Ghost of Ohio still, which is a new thing for me. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I stay up at night drawing and coming up with what the next thing's going to be, whether it's Black Veil or Andy Black or whatever else.
Exciting. In terms of more stuff with the character, are we thinking, is that going to be another comic book volume? Is that going to be another album? Something completely different?
I believe that there will be another comic book. The story that kind of is left open-ended at the end, and that's done intentionally. We'd like to be able to follow it up and further the story. And I've spoken with my publishers, and they've kind of echoed the sentiment that they'd like to have another one done. So I think that that's the plan.
Yeah.
But then, the sky's the limit, I think, when it comes to how you can, quote unquote, franchise a character. I'm someone that likes to think outside the box and what other things I can do with it. And now that I have this property that I've created, I would love to be able to do more with it.
Yeah, we were speaking with Lights recently, who's on the cover at the minute, and it was quite interesting that she kind of went through a similar perspective. It was an album project, it was a comic project. Now she's expanding into the worlds of like TV and stuff like that. Is that the kind of thing you'd like to ideally explore?
I'd love to. I've talked about it before. I think it would be fun to see where this character could go. I think that it's resonated with enough folks that they seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
Where is that even? Is that Soundcheck downstairs?
I believe that is Soundcheck.
We will just talk on through and have a wonderful that
is Lonnie, Niles, and Sage.
Lovely.
And none of me.
Nice.
So you'll hear plenty of backup vocals going on.
They've got to practice. They've got to practice for live.
Yeah.
That's all right. You alluded to Comic-Con there as well. That's exciting. That's very, very exciting. Your first time there?
I guess my first time in San Diego Comic-Con, I went to the New York Comic-Con to announce the book and the project last year. But first time in San Diego.
SDCC is another word.
I hear it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, admittedly, I was prepared that it was another thing because of how many people insisted to me at the New York Comic-Con that it was just as big and good.
Right.
That were organizers. And this is not a way of disparaging the New York Comic-Con.
New York one's
it was
cool.
Expansive and awesome. But you can always tell when something might be bigger if everyone keeps telling you how this one's just as big.
Yeah. I promise you, it's nowhere bigger. Yeah. Anything in particular looking to tick off the list when you go over there? Because, like I say, it's the biggest kind of pop culture.
I feel like I could waste a lot of money there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm going to try not to do that.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how many statues I need of Batman.
Well, you'll be able to find plenty there, I'm sure. Absolutely. You've just wrapped the US tour out with one of our favorite kind of newer bands recently, the Faim as well, which is very, very cool. How was it touring with those guys?
They're great. They're such a nice group of guys. And I don't mean to say that like as dismissive, like they're nice, but they genuinely are startlingly kind.
Yeah.
Which is, it's one of those things where I think sometimes. For me, I've been touring for so many years, and I'm kind of the salty dog when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's hard to get me out of my shell when it comes to, I'm here to entertain and do my job, and I'm very, like I said, I'm a very solitary person when it comes to, I spend my time mostly alone on the road or hanging with my band. I don't really do a lot of socializing, and they were the type of guys that you'd walk by them and you'd want to, they're just so kind of interested in what's going on in your day, and I wanted to talk to them, so I enjoyed getting to know them. And Steven, who played piano on my record is fantastic, and they're such a tight live band. The record is fantastic. I think the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah, no, really, really exciting to see. I want to talk to you as well about more new music. So yes, we know there's more projects coming with the character. You allude there might be some ideas for Black Veil a little bit. How are we feeling about how that's going to progress?
I mean, the truth is that I have quite a few ideas. There's definitely going to be tons of stuff coming up and some really cool stuff, which I'm really excited about. So over the next, I would say, 8 months or so, things will get going. And then, nothing. Obviously, the next release intended is the re-record of We Stitch These Wounds, but I don't think that's the end of where the new stuff will be coming.
Interesting. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing some of that. Have a great show tonight, man, as well. This is going to be such an exciting tour, amazing UK tour, and we'll hopefully...
I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be, what's really fun is only a handful of people that are in my touring crew have ever been to the UK. A lot of them are brand new. Lonnie, my guitar player, has never been here. Sage, my drummer, has never been here. So they're just, everything is exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say, what have you kind of hit tourist hotspots now?
Well, it's not even that. It's like you just hear things like, they have McDonald's here too. So that's the...
Yes, we have McDonald's here. Yeah, it still exists outside the US.
Look, I've spent more time here in some years than not here.
Yeah, you're an old pro. You know what's going on.
There's some times where I would argue that I probably accumulated more time in the UK than in the United States over the course of a touring cycle.
That's true.
I'm here often, so I don't have that, but I'm very excited to see them see everything.
Is there anything you're going to recommend to them? Like, okay, while we're here, you got to check this out.
Well, I just lie about things that exist here.
Right, fake history, that kind of thing. Okay.
And this is a long-standing one. This goes back to years and years ago with an old drum tech at Black Veil. My old tour manager and I told him that the airport, that Heathrow, was 6,000 years old. And I've talked about this in press before. People know that and so I said that the building was built prior to flight being invented. But that when they invented planes, they said, "Oh shit, we've already got this place." So they made updates.
Yeah, what was its original purpose? Just a massive open space? Yeah. Is that the idea?
Just like a temple to the sky.
Our famous sky temples. We love them in the UK.
So I have now once again told everyone in the crew that was new that this is 6,000 years old.
Incredible.
A new one that I can't take credit for that Jesse, who's on tour with us, one of my best friends in the world, told Lonnie today is that the buses here there's a door on either side, that doesn't exist in the States. But the reason being is that they're taller and thinner here, so there's more risk that they'll tip over, so you need the wind resistance on either side.
I mean, there's no reason to believe that's not necessarily true. Who knows?
And here's one that we can check back on.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can't hear me right now. This one started on the first Andy Black tour. One of the people that was in the touring party with us asked, "How are we going to get the bus back to the States?"
Right.
And I was like, "What?" And I realized that they thought that the bus we had here, because we started the tour
here,
bus.
Yeah.
It was going to be the same bus in the States. So quickly thought, bus fly. And so we said, okay, well, how can we expand on this? Because I just said bus fly, now I have to figure out what it means.
Sure.
So we, through a tremendous number of hours of photoshopping and graphic design, we not only came up with images of what a bus fly would look like, but TSA sanctioned paperwork that we had everyone sign.
So let's clarify this. You're saying that it was photoshopped to look like the bus could phically fly.
So the story is that the bus has a series of magnets on top, and that it will drive at a rate that is consistent with the taxiing speed of the plane.
Right.
Once the plane starts to take off, the bus has to just haul ass and speed up and get just underneath it.
Yeah.
So the magnets will take it up.
I see. That's just science.
Yeah,
that's how science works.
And the downside of this, of course, is that the driver does have to stay in.
Right, okay.
So everyone had to sign paperwork approving this and saying that they were cool with it and that their gear would be fine in the bus below and that they understood the risks and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. How long did they believe that for?
We had to tell them that it wasn't going to happen.
Wow.
I mean, we made it look very official. In fact, there were people who laughed at it at first.
Yeah.
But then when it came time, our very deadpan tour manager slid the paperwork over and said, "You got to sign this."
You're just like, you got to remember, this is the country that had Heathrow built before flights.
6,000 years old.
This is it. They know what they're doing. Well, I mean, best of luck getting back to the States.
So bus flight will be happening in about 8 days from now. So we'll see. By the time this is out, we'll see.
Keep an eye out for news reports of a tour bus flying across the Atlantic. It's good to see. Have a great tour, man. Really good to see you. All right,
Thanks, sir.
Andy back, everybody.